tick, tick, tick. I don't see anything. Have I done something wrong again? Everything looks okay. What am I doing wrong? Mute. Oh, here we are. Looks like somebody's here. Hi, hi. Good morning, morning. Just a second. Let me fool around here. I've got move the chat here to a different window. Good morning, gentlemen. Excuse me for fooling around here just a sec. Got a bit of a late start this morning. It looks clear, doesn't it? It's the new lighting system. I know I spent all of yesterday and half of last night. Let me move the main laptop here. I don't know if you can see what's going on here. The scope is as before, nothing has changed there. And of course I've now moved from Ome. I've got my, oops, put that back. I'll take it off so you can see what's going on. I've got the flask with a light behind it, which of course shines over onto the bench here. There's a little thing here that's supposed to block the light from the camera. Is that back in the right place? Okay. That's good, bad. It's much, much better light for me. I can really now see what I'm doing much, much better. But we still have the problem the camera is chasing the light. For example, when I put my fingers in here, I can't watch the chat on this. When I put my fingers in here, as though I'm going to start carving, they're closer to the light, they pick up the brightness, and the camera darkens the wood. The only way around this is I got to get a manual camera. This Handycam doesn't have a manual setting on the light part of it. So whatever, we will, it's a step up. Mood lighting, yeah, right. Mood lighting. Okay, I can now see the chat and I can see the window. Okay, what we've got here is this. Today, with the new light, get this out of the way, I spent some time last night recutting one of the blades here. I thinned down the back of it so that the whole blade was thinner in this direction. I've sharpened it. In a way that kind of closely matches the old knife we saw in those videos, you know, the Ito-san's knife that we were talking about. Because what we're doing today is going to be hair carving. And I'm going to do the first few minutes as a warm-up with my TV block. Here we are, there's some hair on this TV block. We're not going to be doing all of this today, we'll start with the TV block. For those of you who don't know what that is, in that video I did with Ito-san, excuse me, I gotta wake up now. I'm telling you, I was late last night. Ito-san's TV block is because when people come and visit, they want to see the carving. But the camera guys are like, stop, start, please turn here. No, I can't get a good angle. Move your hand to a different place, will you? And you can't do good work when, you know, like there's a TV group in the people or a tour group coming through to watch what's going on. So carvers have what we call, you know, a TV block, or in Japanese, jitsen block, demonstration block. That's what this is. I've got one too, you know, so that I can show carving and do this and that and not worry if they ask me to do silly things, you know. And two, it's terrible. The carving is sort of okay, but here I've picked a pop. It's a bit light, a bit thin here, but you don't worry about it because you're under the stress of having an interview. So anyway, I've got a TV block and I'll use it for the first few minutes just to get myself steady here and to settle down a little bit. And then I'll pull out the octopus block. So anyway, long story short, what we've got here this morning is hair carving. And I'll try, if I can do it, is try and explain, because what I'd also like to do is cut pieces of this video later for YouTube. So I'm going to try, if I can settle down a bit, to try and explain how this goes. And whatever, here's the first part of it. Ukiyo-e hair like this, in its simplest form, starts in a black mass and comes out and ends up nothing. It depends on the designer, and it depends on a lot of things, what you want for the end of the line here. Come Taisho era, they were carving sometimes quite a strong line here. In the best work in the Medo Eiji era, you can't really tell where each hair disappears. The little book that we're copying here, the Hokusai book, was a very cheap production done on a small scale, and the hairs don't taper into infinity. There's a sort of a clear line where they all end. But on a bit of work of a bit of a larger scale, you can't tell where they are and where they're not. So you go from 100% clear black, down, 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 getting thinner and thinner. At some point, they just sort of disappear. And ideally, you want the way they disappear to be some kind of a sensible curve. You can see this guy has made, sort of shapes with it. And to get there is a 5-step process. And when I first started carving hair, it wasn't. It was a 2-step process. I put my knife in, and I took out the V between the hairs. I didn't see there was anything else. Take out this area, of course, too. So cutting each hair required 2 cuts, one on each side of the hair. I got the chance to watch Ito-san during one of his TV demonstrations with me, and he said, no, it's not that simple. The only way to get them to move into invisibility is to add 3 extra cuts. So I'm probably going to be explaining this twice today. I'm going to explain it once here on the TV block, and then I'll probably explain it again back on the other block. But basically, I'll just do it really, really short, just on a couple of hairs. What you would do is you decide where you want the 0 point to be, where you want the hairs to all disappear. And you slice in a line at an angle like this, about 1 millimeter out from where you want that point to be. And it will be done all the way around. I'm just going to demo in a little corner here. You slice a line. There's no way any hair is going to get past that point, and ideally we would feather up before that point. And you don't take this wood away. Just put the cut in. Then, that's 1 out of 5. And then you do cut number 2. I'll just do a little bit in the middle here. And cut number 2 is on, for example, it could be either way, but I'm going to do it here on the south side of each hair. Where shall I start? Let's just start somewhere here. And it pretty much goes from within the black along what you see, along the shape of each hair, and out there. And what I've done is I've started shallow, and I've gone bit by bit by bit by bit deeper. This is cut number 2. And cut number 2 gets repeated for each hair. So there's no spinning the block, moving the block. You just sit there. I watched Ito-san do this, and it was just like bang, 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 like watching some guy slice things off a piece of sausage. Okay, there we go. Cut number 2. And now, with the block rotated or not, it depends. I'm left-handed, so I've done cut number 1 on one side of the hairs. If I was feeling really confident about this morning and didn't block the camera, I could just flip my knife over, and I would now do the other side of that V. But I'm going to turn the block around here. I'm far from confident this morning about this. I'm now going to cut, this is now going to be cut number 3, sequential, the opposite side of that V. This is the north side of each hair. And if I start it there on the first one, I'm going to come back a little bit. Sink in to match the V. Slide down into the dumb zone, and hopefully the hair comes out. Not the hair comes out, the space comes out. And now with the first one done, I can see the second hair, and here we go. And this is the part where the shape of each hair gets made, the thickness. I'm only now just remembering that I haven't done this for years, and what am I doing trying to do it live? Anyway. And you can see what's happening with this. This is cut number 3. That one turned out to be a little bit too thin. And that would continue all the way along the whole row. I can already see number 1, 2, number 3 is too thin, number 4 is a bit too fat. Pretend you didn't see that. Let me just take a bit off it. Now in my earlier hair cutting before I met Ito-san, remember I hadn't done this first initial cut, but for me this was it. Cutting each hair 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now let's get this out of the way next. And here's hair as I did it in all my first years. And the problem is these hairs all end at almost the same place, and they end in a visible black, 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 white, 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 white. They all end up black, white. There's no feathering into invisibility because they're all exactly the same height. And this is the important little trick here that I didn't get and that nobody would get unless you tell them. Carving hair is not a 2-dimensional process, it's a 3-dimensional process. Because that's cut number 1, 2, 3. We now have cut number 4 and 5. And here you go. You come back down in the space of cut number 1, and I'll talk first and then I'll do it. And as you cut out, you lean your knife over to the left bit by bit by bit. And the change in the angle means the top of that wood starts to disappear. I've sure picked a small bunch of things to do it as a sample here. Well, cut number 1 replicated. Leaning over bit by bit by bit, slicing off the tip of that thing. And this is cut number 4. I don't even know if you can see what's going on. It's so small. I should have picked larger hairs for this demo. And then, of course, cut number 5 on the back side, the same thing. As we come out, I now lean over towards myself a little bit. It shaves off just the incredible sliver of wood. This is too small for this demo. Doing it though, you know. Can you see it coming off? Just and there they are. And the hairs now, if I've done this right, if I've got it right, start with a full thick base, come out infinitesimally. Where does it start? We can't even really tell. Come down bit by bit thinner as accurately as I was able to cut it and disappear into nothing. And that's ukiyo-e hair carving, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Printing, yeah, don't talk to me about printing. Let's get to that at that time. Okay, there's the TV block. Let's put it away. Where am I here? Let me get organized. Now I think we're okay with this. I think we're okay with an image. Nobody can tell what's going on in the outer areas, I believe. The hair tapers off as it gets to the root. Yeah, that's something else to mention that I didn't get at first. When I was first looking at these ukiyo-e prints, with the hair coming down like this, out, out, out to nothing, out to nothing, out to nothing, I was thinking that these were hairs that the roots of the hairs were in the head, and these were like hairs coming out towards the end, and this was the outside of the hairs. And no, of course, it's the other way around. What she's got is from her face, all the hair is pulled back away from her face. So actually, at the end here, these are the roots of the hair. Then the hair is pulled back into the mass. So it's a little bit, what's the word? Paradoxical. It's a little bit backwards, because these hairs are getting thicker, 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 thicker as they go away from the root, each hair root where it's planted. So it makes no sense actually, but it's what we've got. It's the way that people started to draw it and design it. And this is the way it's been done for hundreds of years. But when you try and think about it logically, this is not really what it looks like in real life. Anyway, let's get going on this. Is there anything I should be answering, commenting? I don't know. Yeah, you can see the Gumpy paper, eh? The little, now that we've got side light, you can see the hairs of the Gumpy paper. It's just, there's next to nothing left at all, you know. Look at this, just little bits here and there, like little spiderweb dust or something. Okay, let's do this. We've got a section. Here it is. We'll do it up to there. And I'm going to do the explanation again as though I hadn't done anything, okay? Because like I said, I want to use some of this later for a YouTube video. And that last little warm-up was just exactly what it was. It was a warm-up. So I'll pretend it didn't happen and try and explain it again. That's just a thing I should mention before we start. I don't know how clear the video is. Do you see the dots? I really don't have good resolution on this one, you know. I think this is about 600 dpi, and I need more than that. You can see individual dots. And on these hairs in this part of her head, it's okay. But over here, look at this. The dots didn't match when it was printing out, and I've just got a fuzz. So I'm going to have to make something up over there. That tracing you just saw a few minutes ago, my TV block, I did that about 15 years ago, was analog. Much, much clearer, much sharper. Okay, so sorry to make this boring, but I'm going to start again with the explanation too. Good morning. What's the mood over there today? Okay, here we go. Well, what we're going to be trying to do this morning is some ukiyo-e hair carving. And here we are. This is a sample from a hokusai print we've been working on. And I certainly won't have time to do the whole around the face today, but maybe what we can do is this first section, up from her ear, up to the part where the head angle changes. And it'll serve as a good example of what we're trying to do. When I was first carving hair myself back in the old days, you know, I thought of hair carving as being a pretty much 1-2 process. Each hair is there as black, and it's my job to get away the white. So each hair would carve one side of it, and then I'd make the V, the other side of it, which was also the back side of the other hair. Out popped the V, leaving the hairs, which themselves also actually had the shape of long V's. You can see what's happening. The pop-out piece is narrow, getting wider, leaving hairs that were wide, getting narrower. And then cut off the end here and go for it. And it worked. I got better and better and better at it, but the downside of that was that it left almost always a sharp line here. Not a line in the sense of something drawn this way, but you can see like a cliff. The hairs came along and stopped, and then there was nothing. And looking back at the old prints, I could see that that wasn't how it was. In the best quality prints, the hair comes from a jet black here, 100%, comes out to here where there's nothing, but it wasn't just as an even 100 to 0 triangle stopping. It tapered off at the end in some sort of funny way that they became invisible bit by bit, and you couldn't see where each hair actually ended. I could not figure out how they did that. And then, somewhere in the middle of my training, I had a chance to meet Ito-san. You know, you've seen him, the guy in the video, and the knife and everything else. And he showed me, just as a matter of course, oh, that's not how you do it. You do it like this. There's 5 cuts for each hair. And I'm like, what do you mean 5 cuts for each hair? And he showed me, bang, 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 bang. Not as a matter of giving away some grand secret, but just as a simple, oh, don't you know how to do this? Here, let me show you. That's what we're going to pass on today. To make a group of hair like this, we think about it in terms of 5 cuts. Obviously there's many more hairs than 5, but just bear with me for a minute. 5 cuts near each hair. And cut number 1, oops, banging my light. I'm not used to my new setup here. Excuse me just a moment. Cut number 1 you make where you look at the end of this thing and you figure where you roughly want the hairs to become invisible. Then you go out about 1 millimeter or so and you make an incision in the wood, angled towards the hairs. And you go along the whole line. I've got to be careful here because there's an eyebrow in the way as well, so be really careful in the eyebrow here, Dave. Hang on a sec. We're going to have a bit of trouble with that later. Huh? And here we go. And that's where we're going to end this morning. And what I'll also do is I'm going to put in this line here, because we don't want to be cutting our hair and banging this one. So I need a definitive edge of where is the limit of the work here in this section. Okay, so that's cut number 1. When I talk about the 5 cuts, that's cut number 1. Also, I should mention too, I guess, that what I've done last night before I came this morning is I sharpened my knife in a bit of a different way. I took a file and took off some of the back here to make it thinner this way. This is soft steel I took off. It's nothing to do with the actual edge, but I needed to be able to cut this part at a much shallower angle. So I needed to get rid of some of this steel so I could make that angle. And then I sharpened it at a long, very shallow angle. The point being that the tip is very thin and acute rather than being quite fat. For most of the carving on this print, it's been pretty fat because I wanted break resistance. You know, this print hasn't had so much fine detail, and I didn't want the thing to be breaking every 6 minutes. So I've kept it quite, what's the opposite of acute? I can't remember. I've kept a quite fat angle on it so that it wouldn't break. But now, for this kind of work, I want that knife to go between those hairs with as minimal damage. Anyway, too much talk. Let's do this thing. Hopefully I can do it. It's been years actually since I've done this. 3, 4, 5 years since I did the last hair carving. I don't remember when. I don't know. Let's give this a go. Now we're going to go cut number 2, which is going to be the south face of every hair up in this group. The first one actually is a bit different because it's got her ear on the way, but let's just do it anyway. Here we go. The south face of the hair, and it starts up in the black mass, slides down, hopefully just along the shape of the hair as we see it, and out past that first line. I'm going to do it again and again and again and again and again here. And I'm starting in the black area, sliding out. We're slicing rather than cutting, getting deeper and deeper and deeper as I go and out. Now we've got stress here. You can see perhaps already. I can see. I don't know if you can. You can see the piece of the wood in the waist is already being stressed, but the piece left behind the hair is not. And because I started really shallow, not much stress there, and more stress at the end. And let's just keep going. And you can see where we're going with this. And I'm just going to be quiet for a minute because there's nothing to talk about. It's the same thing. This line's a bit farther out than I would like, but whatever, it's okay. drawing's a bit funny here. This one's a bit wide, that one's a bit narrow. I guess when I traced it, I really copied what the original guy had done. And the same thing happened to me that's going to happen to me. You know, it's not perfect. He did it really quite quickly, and it's not mechanically bang, 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 you know, like it could be. This one's a bit fat, this one's a bit thin. I'm going to try and actually sort of ignore that. I'm going to make the fat one a bit thinner, because my own, it's not that I'm better than him, it's that if I have his inconsistencies plus my inconsistencies, away it's going to go. So I'll try as much as possible to ignore the bit of fatness there to try and get them the same. They won't be, and mine are probably not going to be as good as his, but you get my point, you know, we try. The faintest curve on them here. These are not straight hairs. Now the curve reverses. Suddenly this one curves the other way. I don't know if that's such a good thing. I think these are curved this way. I think he just got a bit, I don't know. I'm going to keep going with the same curve. Call that an aberration, I think. Well, my guess actually what he did, he came up from the bottom there, then maybe came down from the top, and this is where they met. I'm not quite sure. It's hard to tell. I'm going to keep the same curve. There's lots of things you can't see from the original. The guy's piece of wood, it might have had a hard spot, a soft spot. You know, it's all different from the piece of wood I'm using. So it's his idiosyncrasies, my idiosyncrasies, the wood that was then, the wood that was now. There's no way you could ever make an exact, you know, atomic reproduction or whatever. Not human beings doing it anyway. But that's not what we want, you know. Absolutely, if you play that game like I did with the Great Wave print, where you know, microscopically compare the old version and the new version, there's no question. Of course, you can see that they're two different blocks, you know. don't know if you can't tell, we're running right against the hair, the grain. The wood grain is running this way. So these are at an angle across the wood grain, the absolute most difficult way. Cutting this single line is okay, but when I do the back side of these, my God. We'll see how many I lose, I don't know. A bit silly to try and do this in public for the first time after all these years. Yesterday too was a crazy day here. It was Tuesday, and today there's 4 print parties scheduled, and I'm the host today. You know, be careful, Dave. You've got an eyebrow here. So technique might get modified a bit here because of nearby collateral damage. Just come right to there and no farther. Some of the hairs do go deeper back into her hair. Something else I forgot to, I promised myself I was going to scrub my hands carefully before I did this. But then I went ahead and sharpened the tool this morning, so I suppose I'm going to get that crap again in my fingernails. I don't know. Too late to stop now. Alright, here we go. This is now going to get dicey here. Let's see, got 1 or 2 more free hairs. 1 more. And now you can see we've lost our freedom to come out off the end smoothly. And in fact, I can see this guy too. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it in the microscope, in the video. These next hairs are not so smooth and straight. This, 1, 2. The second hair is wiggly, wiggly. We know why, because he can't come out smoothly. You've got to just try and cut it. You think his are wiggly, wiggly, you see mine. This one should be okay. Let's try. Hold your breath. Clumsy one here too. You think about this guy, this was 1834, so some dude one Tokyo morning in 1834, or 1833, whenever the book was being carved, sat there with his own little wood block and his light and flask in the window and no lens. Oh, these are really rough, they're just short little scoops. And what I'm going to do actually, because I don't, oops, again, bang my light. I got to get used to this, excuse me. I got to click those off because I don't think I got quite up to that line. Just a second here, click. Okay, so there's cut number 1. Are we visible? Cut number 1 and cut number 2. Okay. All right. Where am I? I'm lost already. I'm zoomed in so tightly here. Okay, here we go. I'll try and keep this in camera. Sorry about this. The light's coming from up there, so I guess it's showing some shadows on this thing. So, cut number 1 was on the outside. Cut number 2 was on the, should we call it the south side of each hair. That was the easy one, because it was a stroke straight towards me. and it defined where each hair was going to be in terms of position. Now the next one, stroke cut number 3, is the one that's going to remove the waste wood between the hairs, and it defines the top space of a hair, and this one is at more of an angle down towards me. Let me first just remove this waste here just so I can get into the remove and see what I am. This thing is sharp today. Okay, are we set? Visible? Cut number 3, it's on the bevel side of the knife, which is actually a no-no. You're not supposed to put the bevel against the side of the wood that's going to be retained. But it doesn't matter here, because as far as stress relief goes, we've already got the other cut in there, and that middle triangle is just going to float away, and there's no stress. I'm not pushing down onto the wood where the hair will be. Let me do a few without talking, and then I'll try and explain a bit what's happening. You can see the curve now too, at least I can see it from where I am. Curve of these hairs, one by one by one by one. And the idea, the goal here is to come down the black hair and get to that point, right where we had that cut number 1 and cut number 2, right where they meet. That's where I am targeting to arrive at. I'll make it sometimes, maybe out of the 50 hairs there, I might even get there once, we'll see. But I'm targeting that point. Not a very good start. Both too thick. Let me try that second one again. Dave, you're on camera live. Do a bit better than this. Okay, let's try again. Let's get this smoother. I need a smooth, just like coming down a ski slope. That's better. That's better. Look at this. The first 2 are messy, but second and third are better. Anthony, my inexperience here. I mean, my what's the word? Break time being off this for so long is really showing here. But whatever, do what you can do. Here we go. Coming up. Okay, as I said, this is cut number 3, and now we're defining the basic shape of each hair. First cut determined the position. This one's a shape, and I'm not doing very well at this. It's too thick there. It's a bit too fat here before dropping off. We're not finished yet though, so just hang on. I'm glad Ito-san's not watching. Because boy, am I out of shape on this. The last one's going to be a bit short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. When you get your print, number 20 from the bottom, you'll notice it's a little short. Oops. Another short one. In fact, I slipped there. I think it might be a hard spot in the wood. Another short one. Really, really short one. I'll take half the credit for that one. The wood grain's changing, eh? As the angle of her face drawing moves here, the angle of the wood grain on these things changes. See that? There's a bump there. That's too fat, but we'll see about that in a minute. Hang on a sec. I'm going to be careful of this eyebrow, so I'm just going to cut some of these out of the way here. Okay, past the eyebrow. Getting better at this, a bit more confident, coming smoothly. You know, the faster you do them, the better, obviously, you know. Yeah, getting better. I should have spent more time practicing on that TV block before coming up here. Didn't quite go deep enough on the first cut there, it didn't pop. Now here we go, of course, we've got our limit now. We can't go past that point. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3 out of 5. Let me clarify what's happening here. I can't see because of this eyebrow thing. Just a sec. There we are. Let's get this out of the way too. Okay, that's 3 out of 5. Now, what's good and what's bad? I'm a bit of a shaky hand on here, so those south lines are pretty much nice and straight, but these north lines are not. Some of them, it comes here a bit too fat, a bit too thin. This one's a bit fat, looks like a crocodile. A couple of them lost too soon. That's history, they'll be gone. So just for a second here, before I move on to cuts 4 and 5, let me just trim a couple of the most wasteful, strange ones here, just a sec. Too fat here. This is cleaning up the unsteadiness from that last cut. Sorry about that. First one too. First one was a mess. Oh, that's better. Third one. This one missed early. Just trying to catch the worst parts of the in what's the word? In the variations, worst parts of words. Variations that shouldn't be there. Look at this. That was twice as fat as its neighbor. God, I'm doing this on TV. Fat, that one there. Look at that. Okay, I think we can now move on. That's step 1, 2, 3. Next step is another chisel. What's going on over in the chat? No idea. I want to catch curved bald people. Yeah, you and me both. Love the fine detail. Does anybody know what the main camera is being used? I'm not sure what the camera is. It's just a simple handycam. I don't even know the brand name. I know. It's a junk handycam. Get back to it. We're going to now clear out. Remember, I made that first cut. We're now clearing away what's unneeded on the back side of that first cut because it's just in the way for us now. That eyebrow, I think what I'm going to do, this is not the eyebrow line, but I'm going to cut just outside the eyebrow line to allow me to get rid of this stuff out of my way. Okay. So you can see what we've done now. This was the first cut, which is now clearly visible. The reason I didn't take away this waste wood earlier was that because we have a canyon here now, and if this had been taken away earlier, when I was coming down here with the knife, two things could happen. One is the knife goes boom, falls into the canyon. I get a funny, and then the second one is the end of this hair, which was totally unsupported, would easily chip off. And we're not out of the woods yet, but for the first those first cuts, we needed the support of this wood here. Okay, now what you've got now is hairs the way I used to carve them for the first years I was doing this. And actually, if we hadn't told you anything about what's going on here and just left it at this, and if I neatened these up a little bit, cleaned it up, you'd think, wow, this is wonderful. There's ukiyo-e hair, triangles tapering down. Triangles tapering down to a point, but that's not what we want. We want triangles tapering down to an invisible boundary between existence and non-existence. There's one that's going to chip. We're going to lose that one later on. Okay, so now cut number 4 and 5. This is the part that Ito-san showed me, which I had never known before, and you sort of wouldn't know it, or maybe I wasn't smart enough to figure it out for myself, but whatever. Cut number 4 retraces cut number 1, and it starts exactly the same. Remember, now the V is gone now, and as I'm going to do it out here, as cut number 4 comes down, it retraces number 1, and the knife gradually, bit by bit by bit, leans over. As I'm cutting, the knife leans over like this. So the angle of this hair, whatever angle it is, whatever number the angle is there, ends up being more of an angle like this at the end. And this has the side effect of it cuts the top of the hair. Right now the top of the hair is perfectly flat. From that black area to this area, the top is flat. But if I angle the knife bit by bit as I come along, it bevels the top of the hair, and the top of the hair, we'll see it later. Right now, this is a flat cliff. Flat, 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 fall off the end. By the time we're finished, this will be a gentle curve. Let's try it. I'm going to lose a few of these. It's very soft wood. It's a cross grain, and I'm really out of shape on this, but whatever. Hey, let's just do this. And I am going to just be quiet. Oops. Can you see it coming off? Did I just do the same one twice? I think I might have done that. This is a short one of the ones I screwed up, so there's nothing at the tip to cut. Followed by, of course, one that's too long. You can see it's actually sort of a triangle of wood that comes off. Look at that. Just bizarre. But it makes all the difference in the world to the finished print. These now where the eyebrow is, I don't know if I can get this, but whatever, we'll try. Yeah, this one, okay, good. Next one, I know it looks already broken. It's so difficult when there's something to break up this. I don't know, maybe okay, maybe not. Don't know, might be broken, that one. Classic, okay. Next one should be in the clear. Yep. Home free now. Yeah, good. Two more. Came out easily. We don't attempt to do this with the ones in here. They're just thinned down to a point. They're not going to go to 0. Now, that's 4. That's 1. Cut number 1 we did. Then cut number 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. Well, cut number 4 has beveled the tips one direction. And now, I've got to do the same thing. This is where we separate the men from the boys. I'll turn the camera off, okay, into the and we do the same thing. Try and come down that cut and try and tilt the angle just to myself so it puts the last shaving on this. Actually, this first one, before I do that, just a second, this first one's a bit too thick up at the top. Let's get the shape. Okay, that's a better shape. Okay, here we go then. This is in the shape of, in the footprints of 1, 2, 3. This is cut number 5, repeating number 3, but at the end here, pulling the blade down just to shave off. Can you see it coming off? Just the smallest something, this little piece of wood. Here we go. This one's a bit fat. Let's take a bit more off. This one's also fat. Let me trim a bit. This one's way fat. Am I still on camera? Is that better? This one's fat in the middle. First clean the fat, height, now the tip. This one's also fat. A little bit much on that one, I think. Yeah, we've got a hair that's fat, 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 nothing. Oh well. Good. Tip. This next one's still got a strong straight tip. Over she comes and out it goes. Nice. Bit fat in the waist area here. Okay, now the tip. Next one's strong tip. Same with the next one's got to come off a lot. Bit fat in the middle, this one. Careful, careful. Hey, now it's got a nice shape. The tip, it's gone already. This one's way fat in the middle. Here's one of the short ones. There's nothing there. I can see there's a hair there, but it's way too low. It's below the printing level. Okay, this one too. I think the tip is already okay. Yeah. Next one you can see, strong tip has to come off. Bevel, out she comes. And again, now we're getting in the way of the eyebrow. I think I'm alright. We'll see. This one too, sorry the tip's gone, I cut it with the other side. Skip that, move to this one. Okay, back to normal now. Bevel it over, off she comes. This one too, a bit fat up in the middle. Still fat. These are longer up here. They're more difficult when they're long, you know, of course. Got to get that gradation over a longer time frame. But they're so beautiful when it works. Here we go. This one's a nice one. This is the best hair right here. This is hair number 1. Beautiful. Good. That right there is the classic perfect hair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, number 14 down from the top. Well, I got 1 out of 40 here. Nice, another good one. I really should have done this at a larger scale. I mean, I can't change the print, but I mean, done this demonstration at a larger scale. This is really just on the edge of doability for me. There we go. I think that's the last one. There we are. Okay, now what we've got, touch up, touch up. I don't know how much this is going to be visible. I can feel it now. What we've got is what we had before. Like I said, it was a flat surface. Flat, 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 right after the end. And now it's not. Now it's flat, and somewhere around here, around the edge of the hairs, it now starts to slope downwards. And down it goes, round and around, and then drops off the end. But by the time it drops off the end, we're already below the surface, and it'll be invisible. So we've got a smooth, curved top surface, and if I've done it just right, a bevel in from the left and a bevel in from the right. And under perfect conditions, these hairs will all taper into invisibility in the same location. Now they won't. I can see right here. Maybe you can too. This one right here is catching light. This one's a bit too long. I shouldn't fool around too much here. I should wait till test printing, because once you've test printed them, you can really see clearly. They stick out like a sore thumb. This one here too might be too big. I'm not going to muck with it now. And there's clearly a couple that are too short. This one here is too short, and then up there, where was it? There was another one up at the top that was too short. But we do what we can do. And I think we are going to call it there this morning, because I have, like I said, 4 parties coming up. I'm the host today. It's going to be a very, very busy day. And I'm scheduled for another one of these sessions tonight. I better announce right now that may not happen. I'm already tired, and it's going to be a very busy day. Whatever, sometime around noon I'll decide what to do, and I'll post something on the... Oh, look at that. This looks okay, doesn't it? This looks okay. It looks a bit more three-dimensional in this video than it sort of actually is. The depth here, we're nowhere near a millimeter down. We're about, I don't know, 0.2 or 0.3 millimeters top to bottom. So what you see here as a sort of a valley going down, there's no way that's as much as a millimeter cut down, you know. In fact, something else, can we get a scale on what's happened here? This is not all that fine in detail, you know. This is a millimeter scale here. These lines are millimeters. I don't do inches here. This is Japan. Roughly, what have we got? It's not 3 per millimeter, and it's not 4. It's not 2. It's maybe like 2.5 per millimeter or something. Tell you what, the way we do that is this. If we just take this centimeter from here to here and count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 in a centimeter, 25. So yeah, it's 2.5 per millimeter. This is no big deal at all. No big deal. I've done more in a different block, and this is no big deal. 2.5 per millimeter. Something else to mention too, when I was cutting earlier in this print, other areas where I felt were so soft that I was really afraid that the block for the face area here might be too soft to carve. It looks like I'm going to be able to get away with it. So what I'll do is I'll hold back that decision on a second face until we're test printing. And if it turns out that these lines have held and look like they will hold through printing, then we'll go with this one. And if this block looks like they're going to start to pop out and chip or lose their definition, then I'll carve it again on a piece of boxwood, and we'll just print her face separately. But at the moment, we're going to go with this. Okay, what do I need to do here? Can I get this in an angle that looks better for the light here? I can't move. It's all reversed. Sorry, just a sec. This looks like a piece of wood sticking up. It's a hole. It's above the eyebrow. Okay, let's call it there. It's 9:18. You know what's going to happen. The doorbell's going to ring in a minute. Today it's going to be Shiba-san's coming to help, and a young French girl who is at the first stages of training to be a party host. Don't know how that's going to work out. We'll see. So I'm the main host today, and there's parties. We're going to be chain smoking parties right through the day. We had thought it was going to be a while before it got here, but our autumn rush is here. The last couple of days have been very, very busy. And that's it now for the next 6 weeks or so. Anyway, I've very much enjoyed doing this for you. I think we've got something on tape here. It's not a perfect job by any means. What's the best angle here? Here it is. That looks good here. It's not a perfect job by any means, but hey, it's a step ahead of what you had seen yesterday. And hopefully if I can get back in shape, we can get some good work coming up here. The schedule. Today is Wednesday. I don't know what to do because the next step is carving the thatch. And I'm not supposed to do that on camera. And some of you may not have heard, I've learned that Twitch is not cool on having this block exposed too explicitly, and certainly when we try printing, it's going to be a no-go. The word has come through that it's not to be done. So I'll be showing other work. I've got a gift print that I've got to carve, and I've got the New Year's card that I've got to carve. They're not quite ready to carve yet, but whatever. Thank you very much, gang. I'm going to sign off now. Get to my day's work here as a party host. Thank you very much. I'll leave the chat. I'm still not sure what to do here. I'm going to prepare a thing that says signing off now, see you later, and then I will walk away and leave that, and then I'll come back and press the button about 10 seconds later. So for now, let's do this. I'm gone now. Pretend I'm not here. In fact, we can do that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.